What is up, guys? Tristan Noon here, and today I'm super excited to introduce a brand new library called Palette, which has been put together by Dickie Chapin down at Red Room Audio, and they're kind of working closely with Impact Soundworks. In fact, I think Dickie used to work at Impact Soundworks, or may still do. So they've been doing a fantastic job putting together this library, and I had the pleasure of working on the Orchestral Effects brush pack. So you've got basically four packs. So you've got brush pack one, which is the melodic content. So they've basically gone through and listened to classical scores, film scores, and they've gone through and they've looked at the best combinations, the best instrument combinations and colours. For example, strings in octaves, strings and horns, things like that. The orchestral effects does exactly what it says on the tin. You've got kind of Close Encounters of the Third Kind style filmic effects, that kind of atonal aleatoric stuff, and that just sounds fantastic. And I'm not just saying that because I worked on it. It really does. It's probably the best out there. I mean, before we had Symphobia, I think this blows it away entirely because I've got it written down here. I think there were 2,400 effects just north of that, so a phenomenal amount of effects, and I don't think you'll ever run out of those, and you can do crazy cool stuff with them, which I'll go on to show you in a bit. You've got the runs and arps, which I've been looking for something like this for so long. I think they'll be adding to that soon, because at the moment it's just strings and woodwinds, but you can layer those over each other, and you've got about 7 different modes and scales and things like that. So you've got chromatic, major, harmonic minor, melodic minor, those kind of things. And then the fourth brush pack is the Symphonic Sketchpad, which is your ensemble based brush sketching toolkit, as it were. So instead of rushing to go straight to a piano or something like that, you can pull up the Symphonic Sketchpad and sketch with some ensemble patches. So you've got things like the good thing is you've got the main kind of section, which is the strings or the woodwinds or the brass, and then you've got a smaller section, which is the chamber section. So you can layer those in and create something bigger. The chamber basically is half the size of the main section, and then you've got things like timpani, tubular bells, xylophone, Glock, piano, which is a brilliant Steinway B classical sounding piano. Now, you don't get many classical sounding pianos in libraries today. They all seem to be kind of Olafur Arnold's drama pianos, which are lovely, but it's nice to have a classical sounding piano. This is how it sounds basically. That kind of thing, which I think that sounds really beautiful. And obviously it's quite dry sounding as well. The room they've recorded all of this stuff in, the same room, it's quite dry. So you can layer in your own reverbs, maybe a Lexicon or a Bricasti. So you don't need to worry about trying to mix it in with your other libraries, because this stuff fits right in with any other library, purely because of how dry it is. And you can mess about with the tone controls, so you're not, this piano is quite harsh, but not in a bad way. Just Steinway grand pianos are quite in your face. If you wanted an Olafur Arnold's dry piano, this probably isn't one that you'll be looking at, but still good to have in your toolkit all the same. So let's run through this track that I put together. It's basically a demo track to give you an idea of what the library can do, and what kind of sounds are in the library, the kind of content that it has. So I'll just run through the track and then I'll explain the kind of sounds that are used. Okay, so here we go. so that's the demo. We'll run through, I'd say, from the bottom to the top. I know that sounds a bit strange, but I just want to move on to the kind of the orchestral effects first, which there aren't many in this track, but there are some really cool things going on. So you've got these sub booms down here, which are from the trailer tools, and there are lots of these crazy style. I'd recommend checking out Dickie's walkthroughs to find out more about these ones. I'm not going to show you all of them, but I'll show you what's in this track. If you want to find out more, I would recommend going through to the walkthroughs on YouTube, because they're really good and quite in depth. So let's have a look at these orchestral effects. So to start with, you've got these effects, these tuning up effects, which I had the idea of throwing these into the library just because I don't know how useful they'll be, but you really never know. I mean, there are so many weird sounding effects that you don't think will be useful, and you can do so many cool things with them. But I remember hearing Daniel Pemberton's Steve Jobs score, and there was a cue with an orchestra tuning up, and I thought there's nothing out there at the moment that has that in, so why not throw it in? So that's thrown in at the start, and just it gives it some more realism, in my opinion. You've got this quarter tone winds. So originally it was the winds quarter tone, long, something like that. Can't find exactly where it was, but it's one of these. I mean, these are just awesome. So cool. And then what I did basically was reverse the sound. I think I reversed it, bounced to audio and reversed it, and then put these crazy sound toys effects on them. And essentially what you get is this. So as you can hear, they're pretty strange noises, but the point I'm trying to make is that you don't have to just use them as an orchestral effect. They can be used as a kind of pad within your piece of music, which is quite interesting. And also we've got this choir effects down here, which I've bounced to audio and probably done much the same thing. So you can see micro shift on there. So I mean, you know, I could spend hours going and delving in and showing you all these brass string and other effects. So I'll give you a quick look at what's inside. So you've got the brass, the choir, and you've got this orchestral effects builder, which means you can shove like 6 or 7. Let's have a look, 6 or 7 effects all in at once. And because the key switches are the same, oh sorry, it's 4. Because the key switches are all the same within the orchestral effects library, you can see down here in the red. You know, you can basically layer them all up. And you've got ping pong effects down here, which means the sound goes backwards and forth. You've got reverse, that toggles reverse on and off. And then you can have them loop round and round and round. So, and then you've just got a million different effects down here, which are super cool. I think they call this the hamburger. So that tells you that an effect's loaded and that you're on that effect. If it's in grey, that means the effects, you know, there's an effect on the track. Obviously white, as you can see, there's nothing here, and you can unload them by pressing the button. I mean, what I like about this GUI is it's super clear, and there's nothing confusing about it. You know, there are so many GUIs. It's like, oh, what does that mean? What does that mean? It's like, this tells you exactly, you know, it's clean, it's clear, it's quite bright compared to most others. A lot of other GUIs are quite dark. This one's quite bright, which I really love. I loved it as soon as I saw it. And you can turn off this kind of picture over here by pressing this button and then going to the exclamation mark, and that kind of gets rid of that. I actually like having it open, to be honest. Don't ask why. If I can actually get it open. I just think it looks really cool. I love the design. I think they've really thought carefully about it. I mean, it's quite obvious really with the palette and the paint splash, but I just think it looks really cool. And you know, design is all part of making a good product. So that's that. Then let's move on to the I mean, I was going to quickly move on to the strings, but they've got a sub bass, a sine sub bass. Basically just providing the low end there. You can see it's just providing the bass line. And I love that. And you can add different waves in there. You can add, a triangle, a square, and just do crazy stuff to them within the actual instruments. You don't have to go into Logic and start trying to find plugins here. You can just do it all in here, and obviously that saves CPU. So let's move on to the strings. We've got this ensemble based stuff. So you can see this string. You can see this string ensemble is just playing the low end here, but it's also layered in with these tremolos. Now you can actually layer them in on the same track. I didn't know about that. I wasn't thinking. I was just working quickly. So I've actually layered this in on a different track. So it's got some tremolo layered in, and this track over here that I've just switched to no tremolo, and you can change the round robins and things like that, and the release volume. And again in this pack, you've got all the key switches up here at the top end, so you can actually layer things together very easily, just within the same contact patch, because you can just drop it in, and then suddenly you've got 5 or 6 potentially. Like you could layer in a wind ensemble, and obviously if you press the key switch, it's all going to change together, which is really cool. And with this melodic stuff, I'll stop speaking for a second. That just really cuts through for me. That those violins in the octaves really cuts through, and it's a really nice sound. I can see that getting a lot of use in my work. And the rest, I'm not going to go too into detail about all of the sounds here, because I'd recommend you checking through Zicky's walkthrough. But I mean, you've got the string spiccato here going. So you can see how that's put together, and they've got quite a lot of punch in there, as you can see on these on the chain. There aren't many plugins actually on the chain. There's mainly adding some top end, but there's nothing out of the ordinary to fix these. They sound great straight out of the box. What I'm super impressed with is these runs. I've been looking for something like this for so long now. And what's great, you can purchase all these packs. You don't have to get them all in one go. They're very reasonably priced. I think they're about $250. I don't know exactly what the cost is, but I think they might be about $250. So very reasonably priced, and you can buy them all separately, so you don't have to buy them all in one go. And they're doing a sale on them at the moment, so I'd recommend checking it out. So basically, you can change all these modes. There's like 7 or 8 different modes here, and you can chop around between them just using these key switches in the red. The purple key switch actually changes the root key. So you can see that we're on D natural minor at the moment. If I change, that's now flat, that's now G. And if I change it here, you can see the red flicking around. And what's awesome is you can actually drop, I haven't used this yet, but you can actually drop MIDI in. So say if I wanted, this probably isn't going to work now, but I know you can do it. What's awesome about it is you can actually drop MIDI in. Yeah, I don't know why that's not working, but it does definitely work. This is the last version of the beta, so I don't know if this was introduced at this stage. You can actually drop the MIDI in, so when you're actually orchestrating, if someone like me, when I'm going to orchestrate someone else's work or my own work, you can actually, the run comes out very cleanly in Sibelius, and it sounds perfect. You know, there's a lot of things when you're orchestrating with runs that can get very messy. In fact, most orchestrators end up putting them in again in Sibelius, just wiping the whole lot out from the MIDI because it's just so messy. So that speeds up the whole process for everybody. You've got this this harp pluck. Which sounds quite delicate and sweet. Obviously, you can change the tone of that as well. I've made mine a bit duller because it just sounds better to me. It's slightly duller. So I'm really impressed. I'm really impressed with these instruments and how they've come out. You've got a lot of the percussion. You've got left and right hand in each of these octaves. So I think that's right hand. Yeah, there we go. That's the left hand, and then you've got rolls here. And what you can actually do is roll to hit. So go tremolo, 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 and then it'll hit as soon as you lift off, which is a great idea. Saves you having to put in another hit right at the end. That could save a lot of time. So they've actually really thought about the design of the library and what's actually going to make it easier for us. Like I say, it's not just taking what everyone else has done. They've actually thought about it and been really unique in their process. So congrats to everyone involved. This is a really good one. And then you've got the same, like with the runs, you've got much the same up here. As I said before, I hope they add in brass and other runs, because obviously that's missing at the moment. You've only got the woodwinds and strings, but I'm sure that's something that will come at a later date. Sorry, this is the runs, and they just sound super clear, and they're all tempo synced. You can make it so that the downbeat, it ends on the downbeat of the next bar, which is super cool. Love that. You can. There's so much stuff to be changed. You can double time it, half time, which doesn't work so well in this tempo, but you get the idea. And obviously you've got these mics that you can switch off or on the deck of the hall and the close, and they can all be routed to the individual outputs. And as is the same, they've kept the GUI very similar. They've only changed what they need to change, so you've always got these effects that you can add in if you want to, and they're great sounding effects. And then you've got a brass low end ensemble patch coming in here. And for added realism, there's some breath mark. There's actually a wrong note there. Ignore that. You've got room for breaths. But I mean, again, really impressed at the sound of this brass patch. You've got the six horns from the melodic brush pack of the library, and this sounds really beefy. I'd recommend having a play with that if you can. Doesn't get up to C. That was Back to the Future in a minor key. So as you can see, it's just a lot of depth to it. Really love that. And there's a lot of delay going on my keyboard at the moment because I'm running, I'm recording this, recording my screen, so there is some delay. So that's all the detail that I'm going to go into today. But if you want to find out more about the library, like I said earlier, I'd recommend checking out Dickie's walkthrough. If you've got any questions, feel free to PM me. I'm sure Dickie will be happy to answer any questions if you want to get in touch with him. But I really hope you've enjoyed this and it's been useful. Thanks so much for listening. Cheers, everyone.